Race for Reentry raises awareness on local issues in the Bronx while creating relationships between community members and law enforcement. Now, the initiative is all about creating healthy living for those in the community. And here now to talk more about the upcoming race, we welcome now the Director of Race Reentry, Jen Lackard, and we thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, glad to have you. So we have this great walk that's coming up, and obviously a partnership that you're trying to create in terms of community, the incarcerated community, and really bridging that gap. So give us a little bit about the gap and how how you're looking to bridge it.
Well, so in 2015, there were about 15,000 individuals who were arrested in the Bronx, and about 8,000 of those were sentenced and convicted. And so that means pretty much you have 8,000 families from 2015 alone that are impacted by incarceration, and so that shows that there's a need for us to really try to figure out how to rally resources around them, get them the support they need, and make them feel okay with what's going on.
And so this race is going to actually do that, because there's going to be a couple things that are taking place there. It's going to be a walk, run, a bike-a-thon, right?
Yeah, so we started off saying we were going to do a race, and then people said, oh, no, I can't run. So then we said, well, we'll do a walk, and they said, oh, I've got bad knees, and so we said we'd add the bike in there just to kind of get everyone. We're truly inclusive.
There it is. There it is. So whatever it is, wherever you fit, you can fit. You can walk, you can run, you can bike, whatever it is.
Get in where you fit in.
That's it. So as you talk about the incarcerated community, there are a lot of challenges, and of course there's also a lot of stereotypes that come with it.
Correct.
So a person coming out, they have their own set of challenges, but also talk to us from the perspective of family members, because we always talk about that person that's incarcerated, but then there's also the family member.
Right. So, you know, what people don't think is the reality is that when someone is sentenced on the inside, the families are sentenced on the outside. And so there's a lot of shame and stigma that goes around with not wanting people to know what's really going on. If they could keep it a secret and say their loved one is in school or away working or wherever, they'll do that just so that they don't have to deal with explaining what happened and how people will look at them. And so there are a lot of resources out there in the community for people that they can access community resources, get additional support, even just a support group for wives and children, because they just don't know how to cope. And children are suffering in schools. They don't know what to say. You know, loved ones tell them don't say anything. And so their school doesn't know there's this behavior. We don't know what's happening. And so kids struggle. So this is a way for us to really level the playing field and get the help that people need.
In addition to this, you also have a health component that you work on too.
Right. So I sit on Community Board 9, and so, you know, when the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation report came out yet again, saying that the Bronx was the unhealthiest county, number 62, I kept thinking, okay, this isn't year 2 or year 3, this is year 6, year 7, now we're in year 8. This year it came out again. And so I wanted to figure out how to take my passion, which was reentry, and then also the passion of the community, and figure out what's a grassroots initiative to raise awareness about both the needs of returning citizens and the issues in the Bronx.
And so when we have this here, you've got the race for reentry, you've got the health component, you've got also Community Lives Matter.
Yes. So obviously I'm Black, and so it's important for me to really stand behind the issues that are really dealing with us. And so sitting on Community Board 9, I sit on the Public Safety Committee, and in that role, I sit next to Inspector Pichardo in some cases, many people that are in our Community Affairs Department. And so these are people who I see are very committed and passionate about the community that we serve. And so they look very different than the law enforcement that we see in we see in Ferguson, we see on the media. And so I wanted to figure out how could I take what I see every day on a regular basis and share that with a population that I know is very much not trusting of law enforcement. And so I think there's a conversation and a dialogue there that's important for everyone to hear. Returning citizens and people involved with the justice system do have very good conversation that they could have about why they do what they do and what they're dealing with on a daily basis. And I think law enforcement alternatively also has a good conversation about what they struggle with dealing with communities, and so what the community could do to help. And so I think I'm trying to bridge that gap in the Community Lives Matter.
When you talk about reentry, obviously, what can the community do in terms of assisting, and what are the challenges that incarcerated individuals really face that maybe we're not so aware of?
Right. So when an individual comes home, they're dealing with a plethora of issues. And so you have to deal with your probation officer usually within getting out. And then there's the requirement for you to work. That's difficult because now you have to then get photo identification and get, you have to figure out who you are. Some people, depending on where they left, don't have a natural support that's holding their birth certificate, their driver's license, their high school diploma or GED. And so these are things that they need in order to start going out looking for jobs. And so usually you find if there's no reentry support when they're coming out into the community, they're really behind because now the time is ticking. They're expected to perform in a certain period of time, but then they also have to get the information that they need to actually just show up at a job interview. Nonetheless, how are you showing up? Where's your, do you have a business suit? Do you have anything? Most times that's not the case. And so just to even get to that point, then you have to deal with the fact that there may not be jobs that are eligible for your class of conviction. And so we need support with individuals that do really good work in the community, sorting out jobs, finding jobs for people that have criminal records based on their class history, and so they can get back to work quicker. Some do a lot of training so that they can get in the right job, and that they can help them make better decisions in going forward. That's just one of them. You've got housing, you've got family issues, you've got health issues. Many people come out with chronic and communicable diseases that need to get maintained in the community, but then they don't have health insurance. So the list goes on and on.
What about the sustainable portion for the family? Because as you said, you made it the announcement. You say, listen, when a person gets convicted, you also have a family on the other side. So what kind of support services do families have, given the fact that you've lost your loved one already,
right,
and now we've got to be left behind to deal?
So listen, so I'm dealing with incarceration myself. My husband is in federal prison, and so that's something that I don't wear as a badge of honor, but I think I use it as a way to really help people who are struggling with how do they have that initial conversation, right? That's very difficult to have with certain people. And so I realized that when my husband was incarcerated, and I ran a reentry organization in North Carolina for several years, and so I was on the provider side working with families to help them kind of get on their feet, and now I am that person, and I am managing my family on the other side. And so when I dealt with it, I really looked at it from a different set of lenses. What's out there, what can I take advantage of, and there's really not a lot of resources. People are doing them in little pockets here and there, but there's nothing cohesive for that. So part of the event for Race for Reentry Week is really identifying those partners who are already in the community that do different pieces. Family Health Services may do something, ACS may do something, social services may do something, all these different hospitals do different components. Churches have a main role in doing a lot of this stuff, but who knows where to go? So this race is really a way to cast a net in a community and say, these are who all the players are, and then you can kind of tap into whoever or whatever you might need.
So let's give people dates and times for, we got it up here on the screen, but go ahead and tell us the dates and times that people can come hang out.
So right now we are still in Fit Camp. So the Bronx YMCA agreed to be our partner. We are very appreciative of their support. And so people who, let's say, cannot even get up out of their bed, but they want to get started, the Bronx YMCA has offered us free membership for people who are in the Race for Reentry, where they can come out. We work out Monday through Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Bronx Y at 2 Castle Hill Avenue. That's happening now until April 20th. Next Monday and Wednesday, the 17th and 19th of April, we're doing community conversations, which is that conversation with returning citizens and law enforcement at the 43rd Precinct. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. Friday, we have a youth hangout, and that's going to be redirecting the school to prison pipeline. Youth ages 10 to 17, we're going to be doing some collaboration with things that they're used to already working with, film, tech, media, arts, and just showing them they have an hour to make something that's better than sitting out on the street. And then we have a community basketball game on Saturday, and the 5K walk, run, bike is on Sunday, and it ends with the Reentry Resource Fair.
Well, that's good. We got all the dates here.
Full week.
A full week.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing. And
thank you so much for having me.
hopefully we'll have some more people come on out and really be a part of this reentry, which is very important to our community.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And listen, I want to thank you, because guess what? We've come to the end of the show today, and we do want to thank you, the guests, for being a part of the show, and also want to thank the viewers for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum Channel 67, Verizon Fios, Channel 33, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. Daren Jaime, say it's been a pleasure coming into your home, saying stay safe, take care, enjoy the weather, and God bless.